What's up, everyone? Alex here. These days, comfort games or chill games are often equated to easygoing games like farming sims or visual novels that let you serve beverages like coffee or alcohol. But back in the early 2000s, chill games really described games that were off doing their own thing. The non-traditional ones that tried to infuse a level of imagination that nowadays would be considered highly risky. One of these games was Katamari Damacy, which was created by Keita Takahashi, who has this really wholesome goal of designing his own playground, which kind of jives with my childhood inspiration of being a theme park ride operator. Because much like Keita Takahashi, I just want to see people smile and have fun and enjoy life. So I find it very serendipitous that Bandai Namco reached out to me and said that on the day of my birthday, they'll be able to give me an early peek at We Love Katamari REROLL plus Royal Reverie, which is an enhanced remaster of one of my favorite Katamari games to date, which is We Love Katamari. If you've never played the Katamari games before and are looking for a game that can take you away from those long trudges and grinds of RPGs and JRPGs and the like, keep watching, because I think you'll love what I have to say. If you've never heard or played Katamari before, it has a very unique gameplay style that utilizes the dual analog sticks on your controller. By pushing up on both sticks, you're actually pushing against this kind of bumpy ball called a Katamari, with the goal of rolling up objects, people, animals, and, if you get it big enough, even deities. But it's not as simple as it sounds, because you can only roll up items that are relatively smaller than your Katamari, not just from a height standpoint, but from a mass standpoint as well. And that's really where the challenge of the game lies, is you're taking what you think in your head as the perception of size, and you test it by rolling your Katamari through it. But it's not going to be as simple, because if you try to roll through an object that might be too big, and if you hit that object at pretty high speeds, or if you get knocked into it by some other fast-moving object, you might lose whatever you've rolled up. And what's interesting about the Katamari games, and specifically We Love Katamari, is that they're able to actually change things up a bit and make things challenging from a completely different standpoint than what you're used to, especially if you're a veteran. So for instance, there's even this level that just asks you to roll up as many flowers as you can, ultimately asking you to make sure that a majority of the things you rolled up is a flower of some kind. There are even levels where you participate in a race and you can only keep moving forward with no way to actually stop to smell the roses, so to speak. These and many more give We Love Katamari the kind of variety that you didn't see in the first game, Katamari Damacy. But it still retains that magic of combining action gameplay with the mental process that you'd normally reserve for something like a puzzle game. And I think that's one of the beauties of this franchise. Now, you might get wrapped up with the fact that you're rolling a bunch of stuff and trying to get your Katamari as big as possible. So the question is, how would you know what you actually rolled up apart from the end screens that show up after you complete a level? Well, what's actually really cool about these games is that they do keep track of every single thing you roll up via a collection mechanic. You can check to see how much of the game you've actually rolled up, and every single item in the game is divided into specific categories. And it's actually really fun to see what these are. Now, when I first played the game back in 2005, I never really actually bothered to check what I rolled up because I was so obsessed with just making my Katamari as big as possible. But with this playthrough, I actually went through the collections and tried to see how much of the game I actually rolled up, and read some of the descriptions of some of the items, because that's just fun to see what the game has to say about these things. I think providing this sort of mechanic allows you to create breaks in between rolling up things that is actually quite magical when you realize how many kinds of variances of people and things you've actually picked up. It's really cool. I also want to point out that the Katamari games have a story, and of course, We Love Katamari is no exception. The first game's story is pretty simple, and it's summarized at the beginning of the game. The King of the Cosmos accidentally destroys every star, planet, and galaxy in the universe, and it's up to you, the prince, to roll up things via your Katamari and send those up to the heavens to replace the things he's destroyed. Now, combined with the realization that you've only replaced the heavenly bodies immediately surrounding Earth, as well as sating the appetites of a hungry Katamari Damacy fanbase that have the hots for the king and the prince, you roll up even more Katamari with the hopes of replenishing even more of the universe and making your fans happy. But that's not all. There's even a detailed backstory that features the King of the Cosmos in his youth, when he was himself a prince. And all I'll say about that is that his dad is pretty dang mean. But as with most things in Katamari, there is a good twist to it, but I definitely won't spoil it for you. And of course, the first thing anybody will ever see of Katamari is its colorful, vibrant, and quirky visual aesthetic. What makes the Katamari aesthetic very fascinating is that it is very low polygon, but it doesn't feel retro at all. And I think part of the reason why is because of its chosen color palette and how the lighting kind of lifts everything and makes it feel lighter and more wholesome in its appearance. There's also a quirkiness in terms of how each levels are actually designed. Like, this game has a knack for stacking things on top of each other just because it can. And if you really take a closer look at the level design and what's happening in each area that you're in, it creates this kind of meta-narrative that is so interesting to try to dissect. And I think the beauty of approaching Katamari Damacy with this kind of mental framework is that it allows yourself to embrace the absurdity of We Love Katamari's world, which that's really part of the fun of this game. But I think for me, what really rounds out the whole package is its fantastic music. The soundtrack for the Katamari games is my absolute favorite of all time, and I'm not even exaggerating. There are jazzy tunes, there are poppy tunes, there's a wide variety of wholesome and lighthearted fare that, while I don't quite understand some of the lyrics for some of the songs because they're still in its original Japanese, the flavor and the vibe that it gives out is just so refreshing, especially in today's modern age of high-fidelity games, that it runs counterculture to everything that we're used to more than a decade and a half later. And this, coupled with everything that I've talked about in this video so far, shows that We Love Katamari, and of course the Katamari Damacy series in general, are just timeless classics. Which, of course, if you haven't played, I urge you to check it out right now. We Love Katamari REROLL plus Royal Reverie will feature an Eternal mode that lets you play without time restrictions, 5 brand new challenges that features the king as a child, a new selfie mode to take pictures, and 60 frames per second, upgraded HD graphics, up-res to the best TVs possible that really elevate your entire experience with the game. And you can pick up the game for $30 on the Nintendo Switch, PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC. If you played the Katamari series, let me know in the comments below and let's talk about it, and share in the fun that we reveled in. And if a lower-key, chill experience sounds like your jam, check out my review of Coffee Talk 2, which came out a few months ago, as well as my review of A Space for the Unbound, which came out in January of this year, which are linked in the card shown. And best of all, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.